I want to talk about Kaku Dachi, also known as Hourglass, also known as triangle stance. So if you look at the way we did our back stance, this is at a 45. If I touch my heel and slide right on that line, I'm in a back stance. All right, my right arm is back, so it's shorter in length. Again, because that puts my chest at a 45. So my chest is at a 45, my right hand doesn't have the length that it does from the next two stances I'll show. So both feet flat on the ground, I'm there in that stance. This lines up with the opposite heel. Now cat stance is just barely lifting the weight off of the front heel. I don't want my opponent, this is per taika, you don't want your opponent to know that you've changed from a back stance to a cat stance. We don't want that obvious if I'm lifting up or doing other body postures to pull that in. That causes kind of that peripheral vision reflex from somebody that you're trying to like knee them or come up to kick them. So we would just merely lift up enough to slide a couple of coins or something underneath. All I'm doing is freeing up the heel so that I can move to Sankaku or something else. I could actually move more into kind of a natural stance or slide into a horse stance because I have taken the friction off of that heel. Now, Hourglass, first version of the way I do it, I'm just curling my toes so you can see a little bit better in the video. I'm pivoting on the ball of my foot. All right, this is version 1. I'm pivoting on the ball of that foot and pointing my heel to my big toe. Pointing my heel toward my big toe. The distance I go depends on my body type and what I'm doing with it. A lot of times what we're doing is coiling the spring, and like if we're doing tuite, I'm going to turn it based on the tension that I'm feeling in somebody's hand. I am not fully going across like in a nahachi kata, right? It's a small window. It's this little bitty tiny amount of time I'm coming to here. So two things it does. One, once I've come in, my heel is pointed to my big toe, roughly. My hands are equal length. Now here I am back to cat and back. My right arm is short. Right. So if I want to pop and come back, I want range without having to actually step your upper body. When you're in an encounter, they see shoulder movement. They see that shoulder movement going forward, right? They see the chest. Most people are looking somewhere in this region. All of that's coming forward. It's a little bit deceptive, particularly when you get the timing of it. It looks short and then it's suddenly long, right? So that is pivoting on the ball and the heel comes to the big toe. All right, now that angle puts my chest about perfectly straight. I can also pivot on the back, on the heel, this way, right? Puts a little bit more squeeze on this knee. I'm pressing in, but that changes the angle. My angles are a little bit different here versus here. When I pivot on the ball, I'm kind of shifting a little bit this direction. It's very subtle, very hard to see. When I pivot on the heel, I'm kind of shifting that direction. So again, it depends on what the encounter is, what the situation is, what you're trying to set up. Heels to me are a little more reflexive. Suddenly something pops in and I do a flinch, right? A flinch motion. I'm using a heel pivot for that. and my angle's a little bit different. If I'm trying to catch something, I might come out and pivot on the ball. So they're both useful. Angles change just a little bit, slightly, depending on what you're doing. The other thing, other than range of that backhand, that this does is it kind of coils up a spring. So you coil a spring, you've got potential energy. It coils and then it explodes. So if I go this way, then turning that way, I get a lot more kinetic energy because I spiraled into a collection device and then spiraled back the other way. Very common way Taika would get this is he'd come up and do a catch, and then all 100 and whatever he weighed, 150, 140 pounds of kinetic energy is just spiraling into the wrist as he does a wrist lock. So those are a couple of different variations. This way, right? So if I go heel, my knee is squeezing. If I go ball, my knee is pushing. Small, slight variations of Kaku Dachi.